We're live.
Hello.
Hello.
Everyone, welcome.
Welcome. We're doing our Q&A. We're recording this for posterity, for future you and future other fans to listen to. We've got some questions. We've got some answers. We're going to take your guys' questions once we get through some of the write-in questions. So if you've got some locked and loaded burning desires that you need to express to us, wait for the end, and we will ask you to share those with us. Welcome to this. Welcome to questions.
And so it begins.
So, as always, various questions that are directed towards me that I chose because you guys keep letting me choose all the questions, and I like talking about myself. But we'll start with one that goes to everybody. So, from Twitter, CJ Marisol asks, what were the players' working theories about why guests kept stealing items? Could they have confronted the guests if they'd figured out it was Johnbo/Dawson before the finale? Do you guys want to talk about what your theories were?
Yeah, my theory was, and this is, I forgot who Johnbo was until the finale happened. So basically, my theory was right. I just didn't know that it was Johnbo. I was like,
so you thought it was like all the same person and they were stealing things?
Yeah, I thought it was going to be all the same person stealing things, yeah. But I didn't know who that person was going to be.
Yeah, I think I thought they were maybe all working for Dawson or some other god. Yeah, I was really excited, I guess, when there were masks falling, because I did remember that, like, in Kat's pantheon, there was a mask maker. And, like, basically as soon as I found out that Kat's pantheon contained a god named Johnbo the Mask Maker, I was like, that's my favorite, because I love masks and, the whole, like, performing and all that stuff. That's my fucking jam.
What's that behind, Hannah, what's that behind you? Can you turn around?
It's nothing. There's nothing.
What's
There's
that
nothing.
behind you?
Is that a candelabra?
Is that Phantom of the Opera?
I'm not weirdly fixated on masks, okay? Like, I don't know why you're being so weird about this and bringing it up. Like, it's normal. I think about...
Jennifer, stop screaming at Hannah.
I think about masks a normal
Jennifer,
amount.
stop bullying.
Okay? Like a normal amount.
Oh, I suppose I can answer the other part of that question. I almost skipped it.
Oh, wait, I had a theory. Can I tell you my theory?
Tell me your theory.
My perspective is weird because so basically when I recorded my episode, I hadn't heard anything else, like, from the whole arc. I had heard the last time Fran was on the podcast and then skipped straight to Seeker being there. But, like, I was, like, thinking about, I know Kat had, like, a thing where she wanted to do, like, some kind of weird, like, bard god. So I thought that, like, there was a bard god of bards who was, like, enchanting people, particularly because, like, way back in the day, we were maybe going to do, like, a musical episode someday, which I don't think
That's never
will
gonna
now happen. But,
It's never
like,
gonna happen, no.
Yeah.
No.
So, but, like, I remembered, I was like, oh, maybe, like, this is how Kat is repurposing that storyline, is, like, with this, like, ballad thing, because I knew about the ballad because I helped write the ballad, and then it was some kind of, like, musical god that was, like, enchanting people to sing the song to bring Mary back or something through the song.
That would have been cool. That wasn't what I was doing, but that would have been cool.
Yeah, that was my theory, and I was like, I've solved it.
Well, I mean, you're not the only person who thought it was maybe a bard. There was a lot of theories I saw on our Discord about it being Diamond, which is why Diamond came back.
Yeah, I remember that.
That was a little nod to the Discord because I had completely forgotten. I had not made that connection. That I was like, oh, I guess it could have been like a Dawson thing, but it was too fun to bring Diamond back. But I'm going to actually, that segues nicely though, talking about how writing the ballad. We have a question from Tumblr, from an anonymous Tumblr user, and they asked, what was the process of writing the ballad like? Did you do it episode by episode, or was it done in advance? So that was before we even started recording Arc 6. I had the idea for the ballad. I had, like, the chorus, I think, done, and maybe, like,
I think you had the first verse and the chorus.
Yeah, first
done
verse and the chorus
when you
done.
Came to me.
Yeah, and then I came to Noelle, and I was like, here's the audio note that I have on my phone. I have nothing more. Please help me. And so in, like, a night, yeah, we came up with most of the lyrics.
We had a call, and as is, like, normal, Kat and I have actually weirdly written a few songs together.
Yeah.
And as is the usual way of things, I am very much like, just trust yourself, believe in your dreams, and like do nothing during the actual meeting. And then later I go back and I'm like, ooh, this could change and this could be different. And I think we didn't write the bridges at that time. I wrote the bridges later, which are like the parts where, I don't know, the part where it's like, and there Mary decided what name the war invited, and like the Guardians verse, that's about all three.
Yeah.
Is the same melody as that.
Yeah,
But
because
Kat mostly wrote the rest of it.
Well, and I mean, the reason that I went to Noelle instead of attempting to do this by myself is I am not a songwriter. I don't know how to write a bridge, or like, you know, if you leave it up to me, it's going to just be like chorus, verse, and now we're done. It would have been okay, but you made it great because that's teamwork, and it makes the fucking dream work.
We made the dream work together.
We did. And speaking of the ballad, do you have another point?
Oh, no, I just wanted to ask, well, I mean, I know you're maybe going to segue into another ballad question, but I also, I was so curious about the question that we got from Kira. How much did Kat tell the not Noelle and Rudy guests about their role before they appeared? Like, did they know they were Johnbo? Because I went back and listened to some episodes after we knew about Johnbo, and like, some of the characters were saying, I was like, oh, I get it now. And it was some of the stuff Wilbur said, like where he was salty about other gods like Torva, and Spritz like being like, I cry at night and stuff like that. I was like, oh, okay, I love you. You're perfect.
Yes. So yeah, they when I initially sort of rounded up all of the guests, I did that before we started recording the season, which, like, the whole process, this is, I think, comes up in someone else's question, so I will just wrap it all up in here, but the whole process of getting this season together was so different than anything that we've done before. I mean, just from a planning scale, from, like, finding the guests, and then coordinating the guests, and then we actually had to stick to an every 2-week schedule because we had guests that were recording with us. So it was very different in all of that, and writing-wise, I was writing each of the adventures as they were going. So instead of, like, my traditional writing style is I do a big overview of the arc, like, top-down, here are the story beats that we're going to hit, and then I go in and fill in details before each session. Whereas for Arc 6, I just wrote a one-shot for every episode, or for every guest, essentially. And I did not know what we were doing until usually the night before we were doing it, or maybe 2 nights before, because I had to communicate that to the guests. But so it was a very different writing process, and at the top of it, I gave all of the guests a primer of, so you're all the same person. They are, you know, the mask maker. You are your own characters, though, because that was kind of the thing. I didn't want them to be, like, restricted in, like, you are playing this character. It was, you are playing your character, and your character also just happens to be one facet of a many-faced god. But they are also their own person, and they have their own hopes and dreams that are entirely separate from what their, you know, their big brain Jumbo self may want. Which I think is an interesting, like, you know, not to get too up my own ass about writing, but I think it's an interesting thing. I was really interested in exploring with all of our guests of, like, what does it mean for a god or a creature that is living as many people? Like, how do they navigate that? How do they live like that? And I think kind of the solution I came up with, and with working with the guests on their characters, was that every one of them was their own person who just had knowledge from other sources. So it was fun. But yeah, they all knew. And I told them pretty explicitly, like, you know, drop hints, you know, say things that you shouldn't know, really have fun with it, try and creep them out. Especially getting towards, like, Wilbur, especially with Celeste, because Celeste is a crazy talented D&D player and DM, and I trust her to, like, really, you know, dig into this stuff. So I really told her, like, hey, get weird with it. Like, get unsettling with the amount of stuff that you know. And I think she did just such a fantastic job with that.
Yeah, I loved, like, that whole reveal with this arc. Like, I don't know. It was very just like...
Fan questions can be saved until the end, Hannah. Please, can you just...
Hannah,
can you just wait? Because we haven't really opened
until...
up, like, you know.
Whatever.
Kat needs time
Yeah,
to process
She
away
hasn't
from
had her
fans.
cold cuts yet, so, like...
I started out as a fan of this podcast, and god damn it.
What was the other thing that I was going to do? Oh, that was the question I was going to... Rolling back to talking about the ballad, there was another Anon question from Tumblr, which was, why was Corbin unnamed in the Ballad of Survival? Was this to do with his relation to Pavia? No, Noelle and I just thought it'd be funny.
That was my theory. That was my fucking theory as to why you did it, and I thought, wouldn't it be so fucking funny if like the reason is just like...
Well, the thing is like, I remember, like, the day we wrote it, Kat was like, okay, so I want certain things to, like, be wrong. Like, I want most of it to be, like, kind of what happened, but I want certain things to be wrong. So, like, there's certain things like Slake's
Weapon,
Gavel.
a gavel.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we were like, oh, we got to have, like, one of the Guardians is left out. And we were like, well, the funniest would be if it was Fran, but, like, it will actually just be sad because Fran's not
literally
there to
gone.
be, like,
Yeah.
indignant.
Yeah.
So it has to be Corbin.
And I think, in retrospect, I do think that joke, when we made it in writing the whole song, is very funny. But because of the way that it got revealed, it sort of imparted more meaning on it than it was meant to. But no, that was just because we were like, wouldn't it be funny? You know, like, Juniper's gonna be so mad.
I love that.
You, like, pulled one over on me because literally my brain works such that when that verse was, like, revealed to us, I literally was like, well, who's that character? It sounds like Corbin, but it's probably not Corbin. I was like, who did this? Fran must have done this or something. Like, this is not some other, one of the other, like...
Are you suffering from high-quality podcasts? You see, quality podcasts stimulate parts of your brain, leading to an irksome condition called thinking. But suffer no more, my friend. Introducing Discount Storytime's blend of fictional nonsense and rancid gibberish to provide soothing relief. Try Discount Storytime today. Available on most podcast catchers and at discountstorytime.com.
Consult your healthcare provider before listening to Discount Storytime. Not intended to treat unicyclitis, pickleball liver, or jittering expectations.
No, we were just razzing you. We were just razzing you.
You bastards.
Just trying to get you.
You got me.
Gonna kind of get you.
Got him.
Does somebody else want to choose a question?
I want to ask this question just because I saw it earlier and I thought it was interesting. Kat, how much of the mythology and pantheons of gods and forces did you have planned when the podcast started? And, like, what did you add or change based on things like we did? I.e. Fran summoning demons from the first time. And this is from Hardy on Twitter.
Yeah, so I would say when I started the podcast, I had the pantheon pretty well laid out. I changed a bunch of names later on in the process, which is like, I think there might be some continuity error somewhere in there because I changed, especially the names of the beast gods. Those pretty much all got changed. But I had sort of the basic scaffolding of the gods laid out, and then I sort of went, I'm gonna need a lot more gods, and that's how the demigods started happening. Because I realized, like, I hadn't done, like, that good a job of laying out, like, the basic things people would have gods for. But, like, especially the idea of, like, there's forces, and then there's gods, and then there's mortals, that was all laid out. But Fran summoning demons fucking changed the game because I didn't want to have demons. I didn't want to have demons or angels or any of the, like, Christian adjacent mythology that is suffused into D&D just because I don't. It's just a thing that I just don't love having in my fantasy is, like, angels and demons and stuff. Like, I'm just not into that. But then Fran summoned a demon, and I was like, okay, I guess fucking demons exist now. How did demons exist in this world I've made?
I remember when you were so mad about that. You were like, you can summon it, but it's not going to be a demon. It'll be something else. Like, I remember you were mad about it.
And I was like, well, I'm gonna have my beautiful boy. I'm gonna have my Donkey Kong Barrel boy.
Immediately after that, I was like, and here's my character who's possessed by a demon.
Oh yeah.
yeah, that was.
Demons exist
That
now.
was before that, actually. You did the possessed, yes.
Really?
Maybe
Because
that's
we
when
did-
Kat was mad about it, though, that I'm remembering.
Yeah, well, that was, I think it was whenever somebody else brought up demons.
Yeah.
That's when I was just like,
Yeah, it
damn
would have been. I mean, maybe Mickey's demon stuff wasn't revealed.
I think
yet,
it
though.
wasn't, because it was more recent than it actually was.
But
like.
we did that
Yeah.
because remember we recorded that with Hannah before we ever recorded an
That's
episode
right.
of all of us.
That's right.
As like the actual
Wait,
cast.
is that right?
Yes,
Yeah, we
because
did.
you record like we recorded the mini arc, so you recorded
Yeah.
as Slake and we were Ainsley in the Gap.
right.
Yeah.
But then we went to the like Dame Jin Die first
Yeah.
episode, and then we did
Good times.
everyone together. So I do remember, like, that was part of the reason why we were like, I guess we're done with Dames and
we
Dragons.
were like,
And
wow, the chemistry is just so much better. Like,
yeah. But yeah. Anyway, demons.
demons. Yeah, but yeah, so that
I'm gonna summon demons to my dying day.
Jeremy Buchanan, Cole Atchison, Heart of Hugs, all of these are from Twitter. Question is, was Laika always going to be the champion of Bad Dad, or was that decision come after she left? Will we learn anything more about Laika being Torva's champion? And is there any plan or possibility for Laika to come back, even as a guest spot? So, a bunch of things there, all relating to Laika, but I guess the first one is there any plan or possibility of Laika coming back? Unfortunately, no. Sophia and I we're all still very good friends, but, you know, she's just told me she's not interested in coming back to the podcast. She's just not interested in doing podcasting anymore, and that's fine, because we're trying to schedule a time to hang out, and it's more than a month in advance. To just, like, hang out for a weekend. Like, that's just the way scheduling works when you're a grown-up. So, unfortunately, it is pretty much...
Not in the cards.
It's not in the cards that Laika's going to come back, as much as it'd be cool. But going back to the questions about, like, Laika being Torva's champion, that was from the very beginning, first get-go of the inception of the podcast. I was like, okay, so Fran is Kai's champion, Laika's Torva's champion, and Corbin is left to
Did you
chance.
decide that when you read our character
Yeah,
sheet?
after I read your guys' character sheets, and I kind of figured out, okay, so, you know, and Corbin, because you had said...
Noelle wants to play an asshole.
Yeah. Well, I was like, I thought it'd be interesting for the one person who doesn't want to be part of this to be the one
part
who's
of it.
chosen to be part of it.
yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
Corbin, because he had those visions, that was like on your first character sheet.
Yeah.
Was that you had like weird visions? I was like, oh, so he's been co-opted by another god, and that's gonna be like left to chance. But that's another god, you know, putting their hand in on the scales basically. And then Laika would be Torva's champion because of, you know, the plan always was that either Mary was going to get sacrificed to Torva or to Kai, and Torva didn't want her to be sacrificed on the island, so he made sure that everybody loves Mary, which, like, you know, that was already happening because that was just the character of Laika. And then when Sophie decided she didn't want to do the podcast anymore, I kind of had to make a decision of, like, do I stick with this because I've already set it up? Do I stick with it or do I change it so that somehow Slake is Torva's chosen? And the more I thought about that, the more I was like, that just makes no goddamn sense.
It just compels me, though.
It compels me, though. Like, I really thought for a long time about, like, how can I make it work? But at the end, I just couldn't. So I just decided to stick with it because, you know, I think that in the fiction of the podcast, Laika leaving the party was not part of, you know, Torva and Kai's grand plan, so that would have been, you know, something that changed for, you know, for them in their big chess game. So I just decided to stick with it, and it will, I think, affect some things going forward, but a lot of that stuff was, you know, that's plans that have passed, you know, for the gods, for Kai and Torva. Those are plans that have laid themselves out and are done.
This one, like, emotionally just fucking murdered me. Cynthia the Rat asked, who will give Wanda's cats their 9 meals a day? Please, dames, I cannot rest until I know what will become of them.
Can I just fucking say Cynthia the Rat? I have just fallen in love. Like, it's your name? Hello?
Very good. Very
Very
good.
Cynthia the Rat.
Cynthia the Rat asking
the
the real
flavor is
questions.
incredible.
Cat?
You know, I feel like the village.
It's John Bo's not really dead, right? Like he's just in the void, right? Like he's fine, right? I'm sure he's fine, right?
I mean, he's probably
Cat was
fine.
like, I'm gonna make
in
a
the void.
character that Hannah loves so much, and then I'm gonna choose violence.
That's what I did.
And it's what she did.
I'm gonna create a character who is like literally, quite literally, a con man with a heart of gold wearing a mask.
God fucking damn it! You found a way.
And I'm going to
come
hurl
on, my
him into
two
the
favorite
void.
things.
I know. So to answer the question about the cats, I think that the people of the village are taking care of the cats. The cats are fine. Those cats are receiving as many meals a day as they need.
Thank God.
I don't know. I haven't thought too much about what happened to, you know, where the jumbo-sized holes are in the world now.
In my
but,
heart.
You know, maybe that's a great. Yes, in Hannah's heart. But maybe that's a great subject for fan fiction to cover.
Hey.
Love to
But
hear.
Kat, Dash asked, what ominous warnings can you give for the next arc?
I can tell you the title. That's an ominous warning in and of itself. You guys know the
Do
title.
we?
Don't act like you're saying.
I just was vamping. I'm
I
sorry.
don't remember anything in my life.
The title for the next arc is The Beating Earth.
Oh, that's
Oh,
right. God,
shit.
oh, that's nasty, Cat.
Yeah, that is nasty.
Yeah.
Pretty nasty.
Yep.
It's good.
We are, and I suppose the other ominous thing and also kind of announcement is that we are now at the second arc from the end, so we're in the penultimate arc. So things are heating up.
'Cause the
This
arc-
is spicy.
After this is the last arc, right?
Yeah, arc 8 will be the last arc.
It's fucked
So-
up, Cat.
Fucked up.
I know, isn't that crazy? This has been literally, I cannot believe there are children who have grown into adults in the time that we have been doing this podcast, and
That's ridiculous.
Yep.
That's ridiculous.
oh,
It's wild and crazy.
it is. It is. I'm gonna ask a question that was posed by Akanocat on Twitter and also a Tumblr Anon. I packaged these two together as well. How do you feel, Noelle, specifically about your hiatus as a whole? And also, Noelle, what did you miss about the podcast while being away? And what did everyone else miss about having Noelle and / Fran?
Like we said when I took my little hiatus, well, not so little in the end.
It wasn't that
but-
little.
that we had been planning it for years, which is true, but we didn't mean to plan it
No.
for years. It's just that everything always ends up being longer than we think it's going to be. So yeah, I mean, I was kind of like, particularly with editing, I was very much ready for a break. I think basically part of the reason that I originally wanted to take a hiatus is because I was thinking maybe I'll start this other podcast that I've had knocking around. But then by the time I took my hiatus, I was like, if I have to podcast during this fucking break, particularly the editing, I was like, no, it's not. That's not what it's about. Not now. Not ever.
No.
Anyway, I had a great time. I mean, I did I released my little album, but honestly, mostly I just fucking chilled.
Completely valid.
Hell yeah.
And I really enjoyed it, you know? I think it's just as I predicted when we originally planned me doing a break, I just kind of felt like I was doing, I was spending a lot of my time working on this podcast. I was like, I'm gonna be ready for a break. And I was. And then when I was done with my break, I was ready to come back. Although it was longer than I thought it would be.
Yeah, it was almost a year.
But I mean, at the same time, I was still doing some
Yeah.
stuff, and we were
We still did the
still doing the live stream.
yeah, and we still
Damsion
did
Dive
the
and-
Damsion Dive, yeah.
And your guest episode and
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, and I was involved with some decision making stuff, so it wasn't I didn't feel like I was completely not doing it anymore, but it was it was a lot different. But I would say the thing that I probably missed the most was just seeing everybody more often, because you see each other more often when it's mandated by the business.
It's true.
Well, that's always what I say is like the reason that I was like, hey guys, let's start a
Mm-hmm.
podcast is because I wanted to get my friends together on a bi-weekly-ish basis.
Yeah, you got
beautiful.
You got to start
Yeah.
a podcast for that.
Yeah, it's the only way you can.
And also, I guess like I did like when I came back to playing Fran, I was kind of like, oh wow, my little girl,
She's still here.
my little baby who I hate.
She's
I mean, I love her. I love
Yeah.
her, but
I
you know,
understand
you know how
completely.
she
I
is.
get it.
And what did
Hold
we
on.
miss
Oh, yeah,
about
yeah.
Noelle?
There's
Yeah,
more
what
to
did
the
we miss
sorry.
about
There's more to the
it?
question. I was gonna change the subject.
No, yeah, what
Noelle,
did we miss
tell us
about Noelle?
5 things you like about yours.
Yeah, I did not miss that. That was like your first episode back.
Well, we'll get
Wait,
there.
has
Yeah,
it-
no,
Hasn't dropped yet?
no, that intro
No,
hasn't dropped
that's
out.
the
Oh my
first
God, I keep
episode
forgetting.
of Arc 7.
God.
Yeah. Oh, there's a great intro coming
There's
up.
a really good
great
intro coming up.
So, what did I miss about Noelle? And Fran, area of effect damage, AoE damage. Because that was something that I had to deal with the guests, is that I design encounters for this podcast very specifically knowing that I have a fucking entire party of glass cannons. I mean, we've got Slake there to tank, but I have very high damage output and very low threshold for damage they can take. And so I was very used to making like bunch of enemies. Fran would knock them out in like 1 or 2 rounds. And then that didn't happen anymore. So I missed that, and I was so glad to have it back.
I missed Noelle's brilliant comedic magic. I was very, very happy to have like the guest episode. I was so excited also that we got to fucking meet Seeker as Slake and Corbin.
Yeah, that was
Yes.
funny.
Yeah. And I mean, I remember too, like when we did the finale where we knew you were going away for a while, that like it was very easy to cry in character thinking like, what if I didn't get to see Fran again? What if I didn't get to see Noelle again? So I'm a stupid little baby.
Hannah, that's so
I'm a
sweet.
stupid little baby.
You're so sweet, and Juniper's is gonna have to be at least
I
that
actually-
sincere, and hopefully
I
more
actually
so.
was gonna destroy you with this one. Are you ready for this shit?
Oh,
Fucking
shit.
get ready.
Oh,
Sit down,
God.
Noelle.
I'm sitting and I'm girding
Yeah,
my
you better
loins.
gird them. So what I miss the most about Noelle, and I loved doing our guest episodes. It pushed me very far out of my comfort zone. I don't like talking to human beings, but I think it was wonderful for us, and I loved doing it as a wonderful experience. However, when we first had Noelle back again as the Seeker, it was like drinking water for the first time after I'd been living in a desert. I was like, the chemistry is here. Like Noelle and I,
Oh, yeah.
she's back. She's back. I was so happy. I was
Yeah.
like, I know how to act. I don't have to worry. If I say something stupid, Noelle's just gonna look me in my face and be like, "You idiot," and it'll be great. And I won't have to like be like, "Oh my god," like. So that's what I miss the most about Wonderful Noelle. My floor brother.
I will say that was definitely also just like the lack. The pressure was off once Noelle got back. It was like, had to like be a DM instead of just being like, a fool with a story.
Yeah.
What is a DM but a fool with a story?
What does that have to do with me?
Well, because when I'm like, get DMing for other people, I have to be like,
Oh, got it. And I
know.
can, yeah.
yeah, and
Because
When I'm
I
with
know you.
yeah, I'm just a fool
You
with
can
a
do it
story to
every
tell.
And I love it.
Yeah, I
Well,
love
and I
it.
think
I love
we-
it. I love you.
We've known each other for so long too. There's just like a lack of like
boundaries.
boundaries, but like
No.
but like in a good way. Like
Catherine.
like, I think it's the like lack of needing to worry about boundaries
Yeah,
because like
your-
we don't
your
like they're
guard doesn't-
established
Well,
and
'cause-
like
Yep.
Yeah, you know where they
Yeah,
are.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
You're- Yes. Yeah, so you don't have to be like kind of over.
Noelle
Right,
already
yeah.
knows I'm a fucking idiot, so like
I don't know that. So I guess you don't know me as well as you thought you did.
let's record a mid-roll. A mid-roll, we're recording a mid-roll. Everybody, it's a mid-roll. Woo! Mid-roll. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the mid-roll. Are you enjoying the Q's? Are you enjoying the A's? I sure did. Always a good time when we do these Q&As live as part of our Patreon. I hope you're enjoying it. So, what's up with you guys? How are we hip-hop happening? Are we doing well? We're doing great over here at Dames HQ. We are having, coming up, I want to let you guys know, we are having our little mid-preseason break, pre-arc break, coming up. So there will not be an episode 2 weeks from now. It will be 2 weeks after that, unless you are a patron, in which case, in that 2-week break, the bonus Damesian Dive episode is going to be going up. That one's going to be a lot of fun. Zombie Bottom Floor. Zombie Bottom Floor. Zombie Bottom Floor. In any case, yeah, so you can catch that. That'll be coming out on June 14th. And then the premiere of Arc 7 is going to be coming out on June 28th, and that will be back on the main feed for everybody and their grandmothers. So this will be the last time you hear my beautiful, sultry tones for a hot minute. Unless, again, you are a patron. Speaking of patrons, let's thank some of them. You guys are our bread and butter, our heart and soul, our Beavis and Butthead. And so I want to thank a whole bunch of people here. That's going to be Henry Debick, Miss Panda, Dashing Donkus, Cynthia the Rat, Sathal, Christina McLennan, Kyle Corbett, Tiffany Pine, Alora Elway, Joel Robertson, Julie Pagano, Michael Sexton, Sam, Courtney Bell, Amber A, Adam Patterson, Ark, Abhijit Madhu Kumar, and Shakango Resident. Alright, thank you all so much, you guys. We really cannot stress enough how amazing it is that you choose to donate to our little Patreon and support this podcast. We really couldn't do it without you guys. And I know I just said that, but you know who we really couldn't do it without? Those Apple Podcast reviewers, or reviewers of other platforms that are aggregated onto various websites, and push us up the charts. Let other people know about us, help us gain visibility, and just say some really nice things that really brighten my day. It's just so nice to read those things. So I am going to thank you to Renault Helt, Ms. Trebor, Brandon Nightmare, Davis's Driver, Dare the Brave, Sarah Corin, Palmer's 611, Metakid, and Claire the Silly Bear. Thank you guys so much for reviewing, helping us spread the good news of Dames and Dragons. Thank you so much. And now, why don't we hear from another amazing show on the Geekspective Network?
Does the thought of leading a group through the creative landscapes of your imagination terrify you? Do you worry about being asked questions you don't know the answers to? Have you wanted to try being a dungeon or game master, but your social anxiety has been holding you back? Hi, I'm Amber, and I used to nearly vomit at the idea of running a tabletop RPG. How'd I get over that anxiety? I haven't. Surprise! I'm still an anxious mess, and you can listen to all of it on Shapeshift, where I've recorded 80% of every game I've ever ran. Over the last 4 years, I've run a ton of indie one-shots like Casketland, a weird Western horror game, to my first ever campaign using Ryutama, a Studio Ghibli-like exploration-focused game. Follow me through my journey learning how to GM and to live with my anxiety. It doesn't go away completely, but it does get easier to manage. Go to Geekspective.com to find out more information or find Shapeshift on wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Oh, thank you for that. Go listen to that great show. And now we have a message from our store. If you would like to purchase a message and you would like one of us to say it with our human mouth and record it into this here microphone, you can go to damesanddragons.store and purchase a message for a loved one or enemy. I have yet to see somebody purchase a message for an enemy. Please, I'm begging you, somebody issue a challenge via podcast. I mean, I hate to age myself, hate to date myself here, but do it for the Vine. Alright, so this message is from Riley Tabor, and it says, "Happy birthday, Shelby, my dearest sister! Aren't you glad I convinced you to listen to this dang podcast that has become your favorite? Just a reminder that I am always right. I will miss living with you and being able to share special interests 24/7, no matter how deplorable. Love you always, and cheers to another year of me forgetting to answer your text messages. Cece and I are rooting for your existence." Well, happy birthday, Shelby. I'm rooting for your existence as well. Great. Love it. So nice. Lastly, must we do this again? We must. Every time we must. Chantal, I hope you're well. I hope the summer is long and beautiful. I hope that wherever you are, there is a warm breeze and fluffy clouds and a bowl of peach sherbet. Chantal, the code word is Nerdy Birdie. The sleeper agent is active. Go! All right, I want to move on to another question. I've found the ones from Patreon at the bottom of the page, and I'm going to answer one from Wildfire.
Some of them are pretty quick ones from Patreon. Did Noelle consider re-rolling as a warlock, or was it never even an option?
Oh, yeah.
And I had thoughts about this. So let me set the scene. So Kat messaged me in advance of this episode and was like, hey, like, guess what? I'm going to give you this option. But what Kat said was, you can multi-class in warlock. And I was like, no, I'm not going to do that.
Right, and so I decided to raise the stakes.
Yes, but you didn't tell me that, and I'd already decided I wasn't going to do it.
Oops. I thought I had told you, but I apparently didn't.
No. So then that's why I was, like, conflicted when it actually happened, because otherwise I would have been like, oh, I've made my decision. But we edited most of that out, so people don't know. But I did take a while to make that decision. But I will say, that was part of my decision. But also part of it was, I just like being a wizard. I just don't want to play a warlock at this. I just don't. I don't know. Also,
you want to learn new things.
Yeah. Story-wise, Fran had just agreed to work with Kai. So if she'd been like, no, fuck you, I probably would have, even though I love to play wizard, I probably would have gone for it, because then it would have been like, oh, like, then I don't have to be tied to the gods, and like, you know, but like, since she was just like, yeah, that's fine, I'll just like do what you want, then it kind of felt like, yeah. But also, like, I mean, Fran's gonna keep summoning demons, and it's never gonna stop, and if they want to try and tempt her to be a warlock again, they can do that. They're welcome to. Because she's going to summon demons until they kill her.
Nothing but respect for my president.
Nothing but respect. Absolutely. Do you guys have other questions you want to bring up?
I have one that I like, that I would like to ask, that I saw.
Please.
Okay.
Please.
So this is a fun one. So this is from Carl Gura. Fucking amazing name also.
Really
Very good name.
Great name.
So the question is, hey, first time dame, long time dragon. We already know how Fran and Corbin were with Ainsley and the Gap, but how do you feel your other characters would get along? Like, would Corbin / Mickey / Eggy be friends? Would ye still approve of Slake's work ethic? Thanks and much love. And yeah.
It took me a minute when I saw this question. I was like, who the hell are Eggy and Yusil? Those are our questions from the Ravnica. Those are your characters from the Ravnica episode.
Yes.
Oh.
Juniper didn't know until you said that, I
forgot
think.
who that character was.
But I would very much.
It took me a full fucking minute to remember that
did
one. I was
not.
like,
Yeah. So for anybody else who also is confused, we did a one shot for Dungeons and Dragons like podcast. It was posted here too, and we played some different characters that were I don't know, like they were part of like a Magic the Gathering guild.
Yeah,
they were part
little-
of the Trash Guild.
Yeah.
the
Guild of Trash
Corpse Dead Underground Guild.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the Necromancer
recycling,
Trash Guild.
Yeah.
mushrooms.
That's what I mean. That's what it is.
Yeah.
The Necromancer Trash Guild.
Obviously, the one we picked.
Very
Yeah.
true. Obviously. So I mean, I don't know. I think
Fran and the Seeker, I want
I
to
guess,
know.
like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fran and the Seeker.
I
and
feel like they would
Jared.
have an antagonistic relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Like I feel like Fran is enough of a shitty teen, and the Seeker is enough of like a mom type.
Yeah.
that they would just not. It would be
Yeah,
a mom
I
and a
think
shitty
it would-
teen.
It would very much depend on how the Seeker was introduced to Fran. If Fran thought the Seeker was really cool from the moment she saw her, like, and she was like, whoa, like, so cool, then she would, like, just, like, be, like, a weird little, like, gremlin, like, like, mom, you know, but, like, or mommy, as it were. But, I think, yeah, otherwise they probably would be pretty antagonistic. But I also think, like, they just, like, wouldn't talk because, like, Seeker would be like, don't talk to me, and Fran would be like, deal. So, what about Slake and Mr.
I
Wendell?
have thought about this. I think I really thought about it the time that Mr. Wendell fucking stepped on that crab. I was like, they could not, like...
I feel like Slake
cannot
would go into like a
coexist.
blind rage.
I think I think what it would be like, I think it would be really interesting because like they have certain things in common, I guess, but yeah, also very different in certain ways. I feel like Slake would be really hung up on the thing like the crab, like how could you do this?
Yeah, I suppose Slake probably in general would be like, we can't trust this guy, like,
Yeah.
he's not morally sound. And they'd be right. They would definitely be right. And I think, on the other hand, Fran and Corbin would love Mr. Wendell.
Really?
Absolutely. Oh.
Corbin and Mickey, I think they're going to get along like a house on fire, but we'll have to hear from the source.
Yeah, I'm so
Okay.
Comics and
pause-
games.
Pause the phone. A house on fire?
yeah.
Get along like get on like a
Yeah,
house
that's
on
a thing,
fire.
right?
Okay, get on like a house on fire is one thing. Get along like a house on fire is
it?
another.
It's
It's the same,
literally
right?
one word different.
But it
Kat.
means the same.
I resent what you're saying to me. Oh, I resent what you're saying to me so deeply.
Okay, but I'm wildly curious. Yeah, you're saying that Fran and Corbin and Mr. Wendell, like that they would get along with. I want to know about this.
I'm not saying that Mr. Wendell would get along with Fran
Right.
and Corbin. I'm saying Fran and Corbin would love Mr. Wendell.
Like, would they just enjoy annoying the shit out of him, or like?
Yeah, probably. I can really see that, and they'd also be like, and you have this heart of gold, and like we know that.
Yeah, no, Fran and Corbin would absolutely see 100% through his, like, I'm cold exterior and
Yeah.
destroy him.
Yeah,
at
they'd be
every
like, that's your
chance.
son.
Yeah, no, they're constantly. Like,
I would love to see that. That sounds great.
But please tell us, Mickey and
Corbin and Mickey, I think, would be like the absolute worst combination of two people because they
Yeah.
would 100% like have an endless feedback loop on each other
That's true,
and
that's true.
encourage
how
like,
wait, how
terrible.
soon after they met do you think they would both be dead?
quickly, like very fast, short.
You're absolutely
like,
right.
Like, because probably Mickey would be killed first. But like not actually, because if Mickey dies, then like his little demon just comes out and then kills Corbin.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah. So, but no, they for sure.
It's really dark. It's really dark.
Sorry.
It's like really
They'd
dark.
definitely be
it's kind
dead.
of like, oh, it's kind of
Like,
like
immediately.
Ooh, it's like really dark.
No, I mean, I
though.
agree. Like, I mean, because, yeah, like, I think, yeah, you're right. Like, there's no impulse control at all between the two of them.
No,
so.
they would just, like, you cannot let them be alone together because it would be so bad.
Okay, like in a scenario where these three person groups meet, immediately Fran and Corbin start calling them out on being like a weird family.
Yes.
They don't like it.
Yeah.
Corbin, Slake is like, I don't trust any of these people. Corbin makes a connection with Mickey. They almost die. Fran puts them both in the bag of holding, and they do die.
I love this fan fiction.
Yep.
Wow. Well,
Into it.
we
Into
solved
it.
it.
We did it.
Okay, there's one more question that I want to answer from the Patreon, just because it just addresses something that is already happening. Wildfire asks, Kat, what do you use to organize your campaign notes? Would you ever consider releasing those notes once this all wraps up? My notes are already up. You can see notes from, I haven't put up Arc 6 yet, but Arcs 1 through 5.
Oh, you put up the other ones?
Yeah, they're all
I thought
up
it was
on-
only Arc 1 through 3. That's awesome.
I think I put up 1 through 5. I don't remember now.
I
Don't
know.
call me out on that. But if I haven't put them up, I will soon. They're on the Into Avalis website.
Which you can access on the Patreon.
Yes.
But I think it's hard to access it on mobile, FYI. So
Yeah.
I would go in a browser, even if it's on your
Yeah.
phone, and you can see like the pinned post, and it's there. It's in there.
Yeah. The pin post and the password are there. We did change the password from what it used to be,
Yeah.
just to keep y'all on your toes. But yeah, on the Into Avalis website, which for the recording, for people listening to this later, you can get access to if you are a Patreon at any level. You can get access to all of my world building notes and my DM notes on the Into Avalis website. I use Google Docs. If you look at my notes, you can see how they've evolved from when I first started writing this podcast to now. In that, I think it's interesting just the way that, looking at how you organize things in your brain. I've gotten both more and less detailed. I think I just know better.
Interesting.
Well, I know better when I need to write the detail and when I can just say, so something's going to happen here.
Sure.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Like, I know that I just need to, like, set a scene and then set you guys loose in it, rather than they're going to go from A to B to C to D, because 90% of the time you're going to go from A to D, and C and B won't happen.
Right.
So there's no point in planning that out. But, like, I also used to break it up differently. Like, you'll notice, like, Arcs 2 and 3 are split up between, like, 3 or 4 different documents, whereas later I started using the outline tool in Google Docs to be able to skip between, like, where I'm at in the arc a little bit easier and still have access to everything. So if you want to take a look at those, check out the Into Avalis website on our Patreon.
Kat.
Yeah.
Unrelated question. Well, actually related, but like not really a question like for you, but it is for you. I'm so sorry.
That's a weird preface.
Have you ever looked into using Scrivener for your notes?
I've looked at Scrivener and then immediately decided I didn't want to learn how to use a new program.
That's fair.
I love Scrivener.
Me
I'm
too.
obsessed
Me
with Scrivener.
Too. Me too.
Oh,
Yes.
bitch, it's
Scrivener.
so
Yes. Oh.
Okay, so part of the reason that I haven't used Scrivener is pre-pandemic, in the before times. I did a
Yes.
lot of my writing on the bus.
Oh yeah.
Okay, wait, Kat, though, the one thing I will tell you about Scrivener, they do technically have some kind of way to like share between devices, but it's piss
It is
poor.
bad. Yeah.
So
Right,
like if
it's
that's
bad.
important to you, don't use Scrivener.
Yeah, no, that's the thing is I do a lot of my writing on my phone on the bus, and then like I go
Yeah.
in like when I'm on a desktop and clean it up. But like, in the before times when I rode the bus.
Yes. What a
Many
time it
years ago.
was.
What a time it was. So writing snatches of the campaign between like
Still smells
people
of
throwing
fresh
chicken
paint.
wings at me.
Oh my
I
god.
called it the bus of dreams, and it was. It really was.
Fuck off.
A bus of nightmares.
Yeah, we don't. Yeah, I
The
know.
things I had happen to me on Minneapolis public
I'm
transit.
sorry
I
about it.
feel you. We've talked about it. It's bad time.
Yeah.
Talked about it.
B from the Patreon asks, can we expect more Dungeon Dive anytime soon? And the answer is
Yes.
yes. We're going to release We have. Oh, it's gonna be. That's gonna be a good one. I'm very excited for the next one that's coming out.
Zombie bottom floor.
Oh, Zombie Bottom Floor, yes! Oh,
Yeah,
finally.
that's
Zombie Bottom Floor. There's some very cool plot tie-ins and like foreshadowing for the next
that's right.
arc, and it's gonna be really cool.
And it's also heavily influenced by BBC's Ghosts. Like, I'll admit that right up front.
You know what? And it's that too, and that is also a draw for some people probably.
Yeah. Hold on to your butts. It's going to be a fun one. That was a fun one.
Hold on to your zombie bottom floor.
Hold on to your Zombie Bottom Floor. Tell you
Hold
what.
on to your zombie bottom floor.
Yeah, never let it go. Allie asked, I think we may have answered this on stream before, but I don't know. Allie Gowans asked, will you guys be doing another campaign after this, or is this it?
We don't know.
Yeah.
We're going to kind of play it by ear.
Yeah.
We have like things in the works, but it kind of does like depend on
I mean, that's going to be like a year or two from now.
yeah, that's
so-
yeah, like what's going on
Yeah.
then. Like
Yeah.
it's you know what we've learned is you can't tell the future.
Can't tell the future. I remember so many times of Juniper and I sitting, having our lunch at work going, crap, how are we going to record when we're not going to have, because we usually record at Noelle's house pre-pandemic, and we're like, we're not going to have Noelle's house. What are we going to do? Like, do we need to rent a studio
Oh.
space? And then there's a pandemic,
Right.
and it solved the
It
problem.
solved all
Right,
of our
yeah.
problems.
Yeah.
It
Ooh.
sure did take that choice out of your hand.
It really did. So if that taught us one thing, it's that we cannot predict the future, and there's just no use worrying about it, because, sometimes a global pandemic will hit and derail all of your planning about where you're gonna record.
This is interesting. I mean, I guess like we'll see it in the podcast, really, but I guess I am interested in hearing your guys' takes on this. Juniper and Hannah, how do you think Slake and Corbin changed as people while Mary and Fran were gone by Miss Panda?
I mean, I can think of
Or
I
did
can think
they?
of some ways that Slake definitely changed. I think Slake got more assertive. I think Slake be not so people pleasing and be less kind of afraid, less like what other people want to hear.
I absolutely noticed that. Even in the episode that I just edited, there's all these parts where Slake is like, "What are you doing?" and like where like Slake would not have asked that before to Fran and
Yes.
Corbin. I thought that was cool.
So I don't know. I thought that was kind of neat. They're getting more.
I think it was, yeah. I noticed a lot of character development, especially for Slake, because I think, especially without the presence of Fran, who is a very assertive presence, it's like Slake no longer had somebody else to be the assertive one in the situation.
Yeah.
And they stepped up to the plate, and that's some very cool character development. It's very cool, Hannah. You did a really good job, and you're a really great role player, and I really love you. So.
Thanks.
Yeah, that's right. Cry. Cry.
Juniper, how do you feel Corbin has changed and grown?
I think. I don't know.
Or has he? Or has he not? Has he regressed?
I think he has. I genuinely struggle with this because it's really easy for me to write out a character's growth like when I'm writing out their story. It is very hard for me to be present in my mind at any given point of my life. So like I tried. I struggled with it though. Like honestly, like what I just as a person was forced to do without Noelle was be a little bit more serious occasionally. I was forced to console a child whose father had died, so that was fun. And I think that Corbin also, like, Corbin by virtue of that also had to be more serious, and then I think he also became more like, or I should say less passive as a character. I feel like there were times when he had to actually make decisions that would like affect things more, when normally he kind of would leave the decision making up to Fran for the most part.
That was one thing that I really liked to hear when I was listening through your episodes where I wasn't there. Was like the two. I mean, obviously the democracy.
The democracy part. Yeah, yeah.
You guys making decisions. Part of this is because Fran is like this, but part of it is just because I'm very much like this, where I'm like, the decision is taking a long time. Let's just
Yes.
you know?
Well, and normally you reach that point before me because I'll just be sitting there like, all right, let's think about it. And then you'll be like, Too much.
I mean, with the podcast, the reason I reached that point is because I have to edit.
Exactly, yeah. And so then, like, without you being there and then knowing that, like, we were editing, I feel like that, at least for me, and I'm sure for everybody else as well, brought it much more into our minds that, like, we needed to kind of...
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And I think also having a guest there really did, because we couldn't just go off on wild tangents.
Yeah, we couldn't just be fucking weird.
And expect them to just be fine with it.
It's true.
Ooh, this is an interesting question. Username 9022 says, do you miss in-person games or have there been benefits to being online?
Oh, I
miss in-person games.
Seeing your beautiful faces.
I do too. I think you guys haven't edited in-person
Yeah.
games, so I will say there are absolutely editing benefits.
That's what I was going to say too, is I would not want to edit in person because, like, having everybody's stuff on a separate track is really nice for editing.
The thing is, though, is when we're in person, we don't interrupt each other nearly as much. Like, it's way worse because there's delays and you don't know who's going to talk when and whatever. Like, it's not as intense as you might think, but, like, it is. There's also audio problems because I have to do everything, or, like, you guys know, you had to do everything 4 times. You would have just had to do it.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking...
Yeah, and there was also my sin.
Would it...
There's
also
my
Kat's
sin.
great
It's
sin.
Oh, yes.
It happens.
Oh, yeah. We, like, literally haven't talked about this at all, and I haven't published the outtakes for this part yet, so nobody knows. So... Do you want me to talk about
You tell them. I can't. I'm too much
It
shit.
happens. It's fine.
It just happens. It just happens sometimes. So the episodes where we had Andrew from Chasm Quest, Kat's mic was not on the correct mic. And Kat did an amazing job fixing this problem.
She
but
did so good.
Kat did have to re-record all of her audio for all 2 of those episodes.
Yeah, that was my great sin. And I will tell you, it fucking was weird.
You did
You
so
did a
good, though.
great
You can't
job,
even
though.
tell
I
when you
mean-
listen to it.
Literally, like, yeah, no, you can't tell. And nobody ever asked, like, hey, why does Kat sound like that? Because you didn't sound different. You sounded the same.
But I will say the weirdest thing was sitting alone in my office, generally in, like, kind of the dark, going, reading.
Yes. I'm so glad that they put in the laughs, though, because I was worried they wouldn't put in the laughs. And I was like, if Kat doesn't laugh, the dynamic's going to be ruined.
Right. But it's just like, or I would say things like, I would say a joke and then it'd just be dead silence. And then pause for a few minutes and then go, right. Okay, let's move on. And it's
Nice.
like, my boyfriend was in the other room, like, listening to me sound like an absolute psychopath.
Isn't that the best?
And then afterwards he'd be like, how did it go? And I was like, this was hell and I hated it. So if you're ever like, what's something to always look out for if I'm going to do a podcast, it's make sure your mic is on the right channel.
Yeah.
Which, you know, actually, hold on. We're just gonna.
You know
Yeah, my
what?
mic's
Let's
on the
all
right
just-
channel.
Let's all just have a time.
God, I don't even...
You
I
know?
hate that. I'm gonna, like... Okay, good. It's fine. Thank God. That's so
I know,
scary.
I
That's like
know.
the scariest feeling, is checking that.
Yeah, I feel that every time now.
I'm fine. I'm breathing.
It can happen to you. Do you have any other questions from the chat? Oh, here's one from Dorowski in the chat. I might have just absolutely butchered that, but how does everybody feel about their characters after 3 years of playing them?
That's a weird one.
Good question.
The silence is deafening.
I don't know.
It is.
I mean, I will say, like, the other day I was thinking about like when the podcast ends and stuff, and like what we'll maybe do after that, and I was like, oh, I won't play Fran anymore. She'll just only exist in audio recordings, and like I'll never like be doing Fran again. Like that'd be so sad. But it will happen one day. I mean, with a D&D
It will
character,
happen
you
one
can
day.
always kind of just be like, I'm playing as them,
You can always bring them back.
but
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm going to be that way once we actually stop. But at this point, I'm almost like, I'm ready for Corbin to die. Don't get me wrong. I love Corbin. Like, but I'm also just like, bitch, you said what you were going to say. Like, move along.
Oh.
I love him, but what else is he going to give me at this
A
point?
lot.
We'll see. Maybe
how could you say that?
A lot.
maybe.
There are unplumbed depths of Corbin.
There are. Well, there are.
Ominous.
Also, I do want to say, before I move on, Hannah, do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird, right? I mean, I feel like I do feel like they've kind of gotten a chance to like grow and change, and so like I think hopefully I feel like hopefully by the time we wrap up, I'll feel pretty like solid. Like they started one place and they moved to a different place. And it's complete, and I like that. So
That's
I think
a much kinder way of saying what I was trying to say, Hannah. So thank you.
I did know what you mean, though. Actually, yeah. Like because I think I don't know. Sometimes I think like at a certain point you kind of feel resolved. Like
Sometimes like the worst thing you can do for a character is dragging them out for too long, as opposed to saying you came and you've done your story and you've grown.
That being said, I do feel like I could just keep fucking playing Mr. Wenzel. Like,
okay, no, yeah,
We haven't done it for that long yet, though.
That's true.
But I also feel
that's true. That's true, though.
Yeah.
Also, we really haven't.
That's true.
Yeah, there's still a lot to happen with them. All right, so before I do our final question here, I do want to give one shout out to Clara May, who brought in the chat of does Avalis have tectonic plates? And I think you're the same person who was freaking out about this on the Discord the other night. I did read that whole spiel. You have given me many things to think about. I have not thought about does Avalis have tectonic plates? So stay tuned. I have to think about how geography works, I guess.
Dark stuff.
I haven't.
The myth is the real story, so it's a very interesting thing to think about.
Yeah, but does that myth include tectonic plates? I don't know. Here's our last question to close this out. It's from Rachel Thimke on Twitter. Does Chantel listen to the podcast? And if so, how many people has the sleeper agent killed?
I think Chantel does listen to the podcast, but she like will not be caught up for a long time, and then she'll like binge a whole bunch of it. So I don't know if she's caught up now.
Yeah, she actually when she used to work from home, she would literally be listening to it while we were both working in the same room. And I'd be like, is that my fucking voice? And then she'd be like, yeah, I'm listening to Dames and Dragons. I'm like, oh, okay.
That's beautiful.
So, did you ever notice her blacking out in the middle
Frequently.
of the episode?
No, yeah, that was a pretty common experience. Usually, like, about halfway through the episode, she kind of would just stand up.
Listen, like, I think it's bold to assume that the sleeper agent's mission is murder.
It's not always. Sometimes she would come back with, like, groceries, and I'd be like, we didn't need any of this. And she'd be like,
I didn't get these. Juniper, why'd you get these?
I didn't buy. You got these. You got these. And then she'd get really mad. But, yeah. So, but not always murder. Sometimes, though. There was blood, definitely sometimes.
Sometimes, sometimes there will be blood.
Yeah, sometimes that happens. Well, I think that's going to do it for us tonight. Thank you so much, everybody, for your questions.
For your endurance.
Thank you. Your endurance.
Your bravery. Your mettle. Your grit.
For, like, just, you know what?
Thanks for sticking
your
with
real
us
ones.
through everything. I mean, genuinely though, there's a lot of people who have been sticking with us since like the beginning of this podcast, and that just blows my freaking gourd.
Blows my gourd, dude.
No, it really does. Like, I don't know. I still sometimes have trouble like fathoming the fact that like people like the thing we are making.
No,
like,
it's
and people
crazy.
like it a lot.
Yeah.
And I mean that's so cool, but I just absolutely can't. I can't fathom
feel
it
you.
because if I think about it for too long, I get freaked out. So thank you all so much for your support, for your love. So many cool things are gonna come. I hope. I as always, I just really freaking hope that you guys like what I'm planning because I do.
I'm terrified.
As usual. Cat's gonna hurt us.
We will be killed.
Can't wait to die at Cat's hands.
We will all be
We will
killed.
fall into the earth and be beat.
Kissy wink emoji. That's
Yeah.
Bastard.
Yeah, the bastard emoji.
All right. Well, we all love you. We love your.
We love our bread. We love our
Oh,
butter.
wait. I'm sorry, you guys. I forgot something super important. What's
What?
the one thing that at least I know I've missed the most from recording in person? Fucking
dude.
canes.
Oh, of course.
Oh, dude.
Like our chicken
Absolutely.
nuggets.
We need our
Yeah,
chicken nuggets.
We've been in a chicken
I need my
deficiency.
chicken nugget vitamins.
Honestly. Like, it's been really hard.
I can't wait. I can't wait
too.
for that halcyon day when we have our chicken again. Well, on that note, I love you all. I love your
Wife's
I
cookies.
keep starting a
noise.
sentence without finding the end of it. I love you. That's the end of it. I love you. I love you. I love you. Good night.
Goodbye, everybody.
Fare thee well,
Bye,
dearest
baby.
patron.